You want to put a trampoline in your backyard for your family to have a blast on. But I know when I went to do that, I noticed there's a crazy amount of inconsistency in the way that different trampoline brands market the weight limit of their trampolines. So today I'm going to explain exactly what all those different numbers mean, the different ways they measure it, and what that means to you so that you can buy the best trampoline to fit the needs of your family. But real quick, what's up? I'm Jeff. Welcome to the workshop. This channel is Fun Size Adventures, where I try to help parents like you build some backyard fun while keeping it on a budget. So first off, what you need to understand is that trampoline companies measure the weight limit of a trampoline in 3 different categories. Number 1 is the static weight limit. Number 2 is the dynamic weight limit. And number 3 is the single jumper weight limit. And these will make sense of why there's 3 different measures as we work our way through this. So first, let's start with the static weight limit. Now this makes sense if you think about in a trampoline manufacturing facility, they don't have a bunch of kids jumping around on trampolines usually to test it out. So what they'll usually end up doing is stacking some sort of weight, usually big metal plates, on the jumping mat. And they'll keep doing this, increasing the weight each time, and then they pull them off until there's some damage that is done to the trampoline. Usually this is minor when it starts happening. Like the first thing to go is probably the springs won't fully rebound after they take the weight off once the weight is too much. So that's why this is going to be the highest number. And usually trampoline companies will market this as the static weight limit. Anything above 1,000 pounds is this, they're probably talking about the static weight limit. The trampoline I currently have, I actually took most of my family members, both my brother and my sister and myself have pretty big families. I took all of them, even had to throw my dad on there to reach the 1,500 pound static weight limit of the trampoline. And there's no long-term damage to doing that, but the problem comes in that's guaranteed to support their weight when they're just sitting there still, as in static, as in not moving. The next weight limit we're going to talk about is the dynamic weight limit. Now this is the amount of weight that the trampoline can hold when everything's currently in motion. If you think about it, as you have several people bouncing on a trampoline, where their weight is distributed is constantly in motion, whether on different parts of the mat, different amounts of force depending on how high they were jumping, what direction they're moving, if 2 people are hitting the mat at the exact same time. There's a lot of different inconsistencies in the amount of pressure they're putting on different parts of the trampoline, whether that be the jumping mat, whether that be the springs, or whether that be the frame. Most trampolines are going to have a dynamic weight limit of around 500 pounds, probably between 400 and 600 pounds. And this is going to be the main weight limit you're going to want to look for when you're deciding, like, are all my kids going to jump on there? Do I want to jump on there with my kids? I know that I'm close to 200 pounds until I get to my summer body. I know I didn't get to my summer body last year, but this year I'm getting down to that summer weight, I swear. So if you take my weight, add the weight of all 4 of my boys together with that, we're probably at about the 450 range. That's the way that we like to bounce, all of us at the same time a lot of the times. And so we know that our trampoline that we currently have will support that because the dynamic weight limit is right around 500 pounds. And then the final and usually smallest number you'll see when it comes to trampoline weight limits is the single jumper weight limit. Now this refers to one single person jumping on the trampoline. And as you can imagine, the heavier that one person gets and the higher they start jumping, they're putting a lot of pressure focused on one area where their feet hit. So it makes sense that there's a separate weight limit for that. Usually this weight limit is between 250 and 300 pounds. Most of the time, it's not going to be a big deal. One thing I have noticed is even at my weight, if I'm jumping on a trampoline that has been out in the elements for several years and might have a little bit of rotting on the mat and different things, if I jump really high and land right near where the springs attached to the mat, where there's the little rivets going through, that's where you're most likely to get rippage. So even at that single jumper weight limit, usually the only way you're going to do damage is if you jump and land right near the edge of the mat like that. You might hear the like a little tearing as things are stretching and just little tiny damage. And luckily for you, anytime that any of this damage is occurring with any of these weight limits, it'll happen in small increments. It's very rare if you have a modern trampoline that you didn't majorly skimp out on, that you're just going to have a catastrophic failure all at once and everybody's going to fall. That I've never seen that happen in person. If you look up on YouTube, you'll find videos of that happening. But usually that's because somebody got a really cheap bare bones trampoline, or they've just massively overweighted it for long periods of time. There's going to be warning signs before things go too bad. That's why it's important to routinely inspect your trampoline and make sure that none of those warning signs are there. Make sure all the pipes are connected properly, make sure all the springs are on as they should be, make sure they don't appear overly worn, make sure the mat doesn't seem to be starting to tear anywhere. And as a general rule, the bigger diameter trampoline you get, the higher the weight limits will usually be. So no matter which brand you choose, hopefully this video gave you information to look through the marketing materials and figure out if the weight limits are sufficient for what you want them to be. The trampoline brand that I recommend is Zupapa Trampolines. They have a very high quality product that comes in at a couple different price points depending on what you're able to spend. And these are just head and shoulders above anything you're gonna buy for a couple $100s at your local big box store. If you wanna know more about those, I have this video right here that breaks down exactly what you get with each trampoline Zupapa offers and shows you what you would need to know to make an informed decision for what you want to put in your backyard. See you over in that video. Until next time, get out there with your kids, jump on some trampolines, and have a fun-sized adventure of your own. See ya. Did I get everything?